into this camp to try to improve those sanitary conditions. As you can see behind me, the Del Rio port of entry is now closed. Countries. Now, on those repatriation flights, we understand that they have already taken off to places like Haiti. We expect that there will be more. Now, as far as numbers, as of yesterday, there were still just under 12,000 migrants still in this makeshift camp. Officials say they have a goal of processing 3,000 per day. At that rate, we're still days away from seeing any type of noticeable diminishment in this situation here under this bridge. But obviously a serious situation for border officials as well as the migrants themselves who are living in these awful conditions in what, again, is being described as a humanitarian crisis. Brianna.
All right, Josh Campbell, thank you so much live for us from Del Rio, Texas. Former President Trump is making another ill-fated effort to undermine the 2020 election, despite being under investigation for election interference. The new letter that he just wrote to an official in Georgia.
Plus, new reporting about Trump's alleged campaign to oust Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell from power. Will other Republicans get on board? And the Brazilian president says he will ignore United Nations rules and give his speech this week in New York without being vaccinated.
Many of us take the weather and weather forecasts for granted. The trouble is that those forecasts are largely based on temperate zones.
Itu wanya ada itu daerah dunia ya.
In tropical climates, it's based on a completely set of different physics. My name is Andrew Lala. I'm the Chief Strategy and Growth Officer at Ignitia. What Ignitia did is create a weather forecasting model that specifically addresses the tropical belt. We source a bunch of satellite data, and then we package that in ways that's easy to be understood.
Realization is the biggest mistake most people do is to treat Africa as one. I think each country is unique. It's to respect that culture, respect the market ecosystem, and build models around it. I think that is the biggest lesson that we have in
So you have 14 different models for your business.
I think it's important to evolve it from the ground. It's like, my wife is an architect, and she keeps saying, it's like making buildings. You don't build one in Cape Town the way you do in Joburg. They have to build from the ground up. And that is the most critical part.
One voice is better or more important than another. We need everybody. One of the things that we always say is that we want to tell the world that slavery still exists, but in order to do that, we need everybody to tell their world. My name is Jenny Brown, and I'm the campaign director of the End It movement. Shine a Light on Slavery Day is a day that we pick each year. It's typically in the month of February, and it's a time for us to really own the conversation for freedom. We ask everybody to join with us by drawing a red X on their hand, or putting a pin on or some apparel, whatever's appropriate, and then posting about it on social media and just going about your day having conversations to let people know that slavery still exists. We have heard story after story of lawmakers hearing about it because they saw a bunch of pictures on social media of people with red X's and wanted to learn more, and it caused them to want to do things like creating global funds that made resources and funding available for different partners around the world. On Shine a Light on Slavery Day, we really hope to see people from all walks of life, from celebrities and influencers and professional athletes to politicians to soccer moms and college students. We feel like this really is just a human issue, and it's going to take everybody on board across the world in order to make a dent and to really truly bring freedom to the 40 million men, women, and children trapped in slavery around the world today.
We share this place, we all belong.
The former president of the United States just wrote it down. For anyone trying to suggest he's not actively, aggressively, and openly trying to regain power now, he just wrote it down, pushing to decertify the 2020 election. Trump sent a letter riddled with lies to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, asking him to decertify. That obviously passed us by. August is over. He started focusing on decertification in a handful of states based on what are not actually audits. These are just investigations of some kind that don't have any legal binding, but that some state legislatures are going along with. Now he's putting this down on paper. I spoke to some of his folks about this over the weekend, and the response that I got was, this is really, really about, boosting his base, and, he's targeting Raffensperger, and that sounds like four-dimensional chess to me. I mean, basically, he's putting down that he wants the election to be undone. Now, it's not the same as when he was in office and pressuring the Secretary of State to do that, but it still really jarring, and there are people out there, whether he believes this or not, sort of doesn't matter anymore. There are his followers who are not going to understand that he might not believe it.
Yeah, but I mean, there are a couple big differences, right? First of all, he's under investigation for election interference. So a man under investigation for election interference is continuing to ask for the election to be decertified, i.e. sort of posthumously trying to interfere with the election. Is this a setup for an insanity defense? Because he actually has legal culpability. He's no longer president of the United States. He's not shielded. So he's certainly making, not that he ever thinks about whether he's making his lawyer's case more difficult, but he's making it doubly difficult. And
जमा कर
आज भी नहीं गया तुम लोग?
गया था
हाँ 511 को
हम्म
क्या को
आ गया था मैं आपके के बाद